I just wanted to address some things after my last post because people are going off in the comments and totally missing the whole point of the video. I just want to make it very clear that I do not condone falsely accusing anyone of SA. I would feel absolutely horrified if I knew that someone had been falsely accused. No one should have to go through that, but the purpose of that video was to bring up the fact that anytime that someone mentions SA, someone feels the need to bring up this false accusation claim and use it as a way to justify not believing the victim. Is the first response to a victim of a theft? You were asking for it. You were wearing fancy clothes and expensive jewelry. Are you sure you didn't want it to be taken? You cannot draw these parallels between SA and other crimes. There's not the same level of victim blaming. If 0.7% of murders or thefts ended in a conviction, people would be up in arms. I believe everyone is innocent until proven guilty, but I also believe that if you have enough evidence and facts showing that someone assaulted them, that should result in a conviction, no matter how smart or talented they are. SA is like any other crime in that you leave evidence and forensic proof of that crime. I know people who have had so much evidence and actual witnesses, yet their cases were never even looked into and witnesses never even called. And people dismissed them time and time again, despite the massive amounts of proof. Part of the reasoning behind these events is that SA is so incredibly common, yet so normalized. So many people just don't understand the concept of consent or any of the verbal or visual signs that someone is not giving consent. People feel like they can touch you or kiss you or do anything to you without asking. Any sort of no means no. That means even the I don't feel good, or not right now, or I'm not in the mood, or are you sure? Someone trying to change the subject or push you away, or just looking completely uncomfortable are all signs that they did not give consent for those actions. Before any sexual act, you should ask if it's okay. This is why it's so important to give high schoolers good sex education courses, to teach people about consent and make them aware of what an assault is consisted of. A lot of people feel like they're entitled to women's bodies. A study by Abby et al. In the Journal of Aggressive Behavior showed that 25% of men acknowledged committing an act that met the legal definition of attempted or completed SA. 39% admitted to verbal coercions or forced sexual contact. And this is the percent of men that admitted to these actions. So I'm sure the actual rates are just much higher. I was 17 years old walking down the sidewalk in Vegas when a middle-aged man came up to me and bit my breast. It was crowded, and one man said to me, "Don't worry about it," when I looked shocked. Everyone just continued on. No one said anything else. I was on the beach with my family as a 16-year-old when some man slapped my ass. People have made all sorts of uncomfortable and disgusting comments about my body, and this sort of started at the age of 14. I have been groped and harassed and drugged, and I am more fortunate than most. This is so incredibly common for females. One of the most disgusting parts of this is I feel like I was harassed more when I was a teenager. But even now, it still happens on a weekly basis. Ask men how often they are sexually harassed or assaulted, and then compare that to the rates of women. If every man had a new harassment story every week, people would be talking about it. Mind you, I want justice for all SA victims, not just the female ones. The CDC reports that over half of women and 1 in 3 men are victims of sexual assault or sexual violence in their lifetime. This needs to change. We need to normalize asking permission and enthusiastic yeses instead of waiting for a no. We need to stop victim blaming and do better at investigating accusations, especially on college campuses. 1 in 4 girls in college experienced SA, but the AAUW found that 89% of colleges and universities report 0 rape incidents in a year. There's so much victim blaming, and people fear how they're going to be judged if they come forward. A lot of times, people do not believe someone can be assaulted if they're in a relationship with that person, which is just completely not true. Or people use the excuse of, well, they were drunk, and this happens far too often. People are willing to overlook very clear and obvious cases of harassment or assault. I knew a guy in college who would start to grab people's breasts when he got drunk, and people would brush it off and say, oh, well, he doesn't realize he's doing it. He's not meaning to do that. We should normalize calling people out when we witness sexual harassment or SA. We should normalize consent. When talking about SA, we should first focus on the fact that 98% of accusations are found to be true, and not the 2% that were not. Again, no one is saying that the lives of the 2% do not matter, or that they deserve being falsely accused. Just that we need to stop having the automatic response to an accusation be, well, they're faking it for attention. What about those that are being falsely accused?